Hi everyone, welcome to the Light Journal podcast. I'm Jamie Perez. This episode is called When Truth Feels Like a Threat. And if just hearing that title stirs something up inside of you, then you're exactly where you need to be. There are moments when truth hits us hard. It shakes us, challenges us, threatens all those protective barriers that we've built around ourselves in order to feel safe, certain, and in control. But what if that discomfort isn't a signal to turn away, but an invitation to look deeper into yourself? Today, I want to explore how fear, especially the fear of being wrong or misled, can disguise itself in our beliefs, distort our reactions, and keep us from growing. I want to look at why we resist opposing views, how our ego interprets challenges as danger, and what it really takes to move us from reactivity to clarity. Because sometimes the thing that feels like a threat is actually the beginning of awakening. During a recent morning meditation, Spirit revealed something important, something simple, but deeply illuminating. When we're afraid, whether that fear is physical or psychological, we don't take the time to analyze the situation. We don't pause and weigh our options or consider the outcomes. We react instinctively, automatically. That reaction is hardwired into our biology. It's part of being human. The fight, flight, freeze. It's not calculated, it's protective. But here's why that matters. Most of today's fears are not about physical safety. They're about identity, about the stability of our inner world. So when our long-held, cherished beliefs are challenged, when we're asked to reconsider a worldview, or when a new view is presented that feels so far outside our comfort zone, well, we respond with that from that same primal place. Our ego just screams out a warning, resist, resist, resist. And, well, without realizing it, that's exactly what we do. We react not with curiosity, but with resistance. Not with reflection, but with fear. That fear can exhibit itself in so many different ways. Anger, sarcasm, dismissiveness, defiance, but underneath it all, we're feeling threatened. Maybe not physically, but we're feeling threatened at the level of sense of self. That's why arguments rarely bring any resolution. Arguments are not conversations, but they come across as attacks on our intelligence, our ability to discern things, on our sense of self. And among the most difficult fears to face is this: the fear that what we believe because we've been misled or because we've been manipulated. The fear that we trusted the wrong source, believed a lie, followed the wrong voice. No one wants to feel that. I know, I've been through this, and it's devastating. Because when our sense of self is rooted in our ability to think, reason, and discern truths, the idea that we've been misled, especially by those we trust the most, like in my case, the church, boy, I'm telling you, that strikes right at your very core. Well, we're living in an era of exposure where all of our beliefs, our biases, and our opinions are being brought out into the open, often without any filters. Whether it's through social media or caught on video when you're being yourself, the inner world of just millions of people are being broadcast in real time all the time. People are speaking their truths, and it's not always a pretty thing to see. But this mask unveiling is revealing more than cultural fault lines. It's revealing the individual. It's revealing you and me. So how do we respond when someone shares a belief we don't understand or don't agree with? Do we dig in or do we open up? Do we shame them or do we seek to understand from the other person's perspective? We are always being invited over and over again to choose how we're going to respond when somebody presents a belief, a cultural idea, or any number of spiritual or educational practices that differ with our beliefs. We're always going to be asked to choose. Are we going to react with love or fear? Are we going to react with empathy or apathy? Are we going to act with unity or division? Are we going to act with curiosity or the need to control? And yet, in hearing that, many of us are still going to instinctively point the finger outward toward that stubborn neighbor, that intolerant uncle, the angry protester. But that isn't the invitation here. This message isn't about anyone else. It's about you and about me. It's about learning to look inside ourselves before we busy ourselves looking at everybody else and finding somebody else to blame. Because the truth is, we all have that initial resistance to thinking that we might have been deceived, that we might believe something that isn't true. We all have blind spots, and it is far easier to criticize someone else's rigidity than to recognize that same trait within ourselves and to think that we are the ones that are actually closed off. And it's far easier to reject what anybody else says when it threatens our own beliefs than to open ourselves to the idea that maybe we are the one deceived, that we are the one that needs to take a deeper look inside ourselves. And I'm going to go back to my Christian background for this next one, because Jesus said something that really works in this scenario. He said, "Why are you looking at the speck that's in your brother's eye, but fail to see the log that's in your own?" He wasn't condemning people. He was illuminating a universal truth, that we often project our own unhealed issues onto others. We exaggerate their flaws because we haven't faced our own. That projection is at the root of much of the division and polarization that we're seeing in our society today. What we perceive as problems out there are more often a reflection of what remains unresolved within ourselves. We have unresolved anger, unresolved fears, unresolved shame. And the world is acting like our mirror. And what we judge most fiercely in other people is often the things that we fear and reject within ourselves. But here's the catch. As long as we're afraid to examine our beliefs, they remain hidden, because after all, we're looking outside ourselves, not inside ourselves. And when that happens, it's like an undiagnosed illness. Fear grows, and it just grows unchecked when we're not looking inside ourselves. It shapes how we see, how we speak, and even how we love. Healing starts by bringing it into the light. So go ahead, name what you fear. Acknowledge how uncomfortable you are feeling with whatever it is that you're being asked to listen to perceive from somebody else's viewpoint. And know something. Being wrong doesn't mean you're unworthy. It just means that you're human. We're all human. So this isn't about shame. It's about freedom, because when fear is removed, love has room to grow. And with love, our vision changes. We see without our past, our fears, and all those other icky things inside of ourselves distorting our perception. We can engage with others without all those feelings of defensiveness. We can respond with clarity and compassion instead of ego and the need to control others. We become capable of living in this world fully awake without being overwhelmed by it. Isn't that something? Where we can be present without being so reactive to everything people say and being triggered by all these different words that have become explosive points in our society. And we can see clearly without being so rigid in our own beliefs that we don't give anybody else's perspective the right to exist. When our false beliefs fall away, we can recognize the world for what it is. And do you know what the world is? Do you know what you are? Do you know what I am? We are all source in motion. Or for those who aren't familiar with that term, we are all God in motion. We are all source or God in form. We are all source or God discovering itself through billions of eyes, hearts, and hands throughout the entire world. Isn't that some? And when we know that, we no longer need to control what others think. We no longer need to win whatever we think that might mean, because we've already seen the truth and we've already remembered who we are. And we've remembered who everybody else is too. And from that remembering, we understand that speck in our neighbor's eye, it's not ours to remove. It never was. I'm Jamie Perez, and this has been an episode of the Light Journal podcast. If this episode resonated with you, I want to invite you to take a moment and just sit with it. Journal, reflect, ask yourself, where are some of those fears that are hiding in some of my own reactions? What are some of those things that are triggering me? You know, fear doesn't make us broken, it makes us human. And awareness, self-awareness, makes us free. And if this message stirred something in you, I'd love for you to let me know. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode to anybody you think might benefit from it, because it helps all of us to expand the light and lessen the power of fear in our society. So remember, true clarity doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from knowing ourselves. So until next time, blessings on your journey, everyone.